So what I decided I would like to do is to show a couple of videos by an esteemed mediator who I had hoped could join us for part of this session, but she's mediating, so she's not able to do it. Her name is Earlene Baggett-Hayes, and she has done a number of videos of her mediations through the Bloomfield Township cable TV, community TV thing. Somebody will know what the name of that is. And she's really good, but she sort of has it down in terms of the half an hour pattern that they have. And I had originally looked it up because there are so few divorce mediation videos out there. And she had done a couple of them there, one of which I thought worked out really well. And then afterwards, so I've used that video, and I'm going to show that to you and try to do a stop and start, because I thought it might be interesting to just analyze what it is that she's doing and talk about her technique. But then later through the ADR section, she and I put together a few even shorter videos that were Zoom mediations. And so I was originally just going to show that one because it's very short, it's 15 minutes. But as I looked at it, what I realized that it's very slower paced, much slower paced, which I thought was fascinating. So I actually want to talk to all of you about that and whether you think that in general Zoom mediations are slower paced or whether that just happened with this one. But it was on the same topic. So the topic is children's activities. And so let me start that video. And then if you have anything that you would like to talk about, stop me, and then we can stop and talk about it. I will do some stop and start as well. If you want to put things in the chat, however you want to do that, so we can just talk about it. So okay, I think I'm going to share my screen before I start it. I think that will work better. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Hello, I am attorney Earlene Baggett-Hayes. Welcome to We Can Work It Out. We Can Work It Out is a mediation program which allows parties to talk about disputes that they have amongst themselves and to hopefully resolve those disputes. Today we have a divorcing couple. Inasmuch as this couple is going to meet on probably several times to discuss the disputes they have between them, today they're here to talk about children's activities. So, welcome to mediation, Alan.
Thank you.
And Sabrina. Thank you very much for coming today. Now, I'm going to serve as your mediator as we talk about today. I believe you want to discuss activities involving your children?
Well, I'm so glad that we're here today because we're getting divorced because we can't agree on children's activities, and he just wants our kids to do things that he wants them to do.
Okay.
Well, that's definitely not the reason we're getting divorced, but like I say, today's focus is to, to try to find out what's best for the children.
See, this is what I'm talking about. He always wants to argue with me. He doesn't say I'm right about anything, so I'm so glad.
Okay, well, let's do it this way. The benefit of the mediation program today is that you'll both have opportunity to talk, to say whatever it is you like to say. And I'm happy that you have agreed that you really want to get some situations regarding your children's activities resolved today. So let's do that.
So I just love the way that she starts just right out, interrupts, has no compunctions about interrupting them, and then sets out what it is she's going to do, but immediately reframes from the argument to, I'm so glad you're here that you want to work it out. So it turns it from the negative to the positive right right at the beginning. And it's a validation of each of them as well. So we'll see her do that more during the video.
I ask that we both speak one at a time because it's real important not only that you hear each other, but that the mediator hears everything that's said as well. So is that something we can agree to today?
Yes,
I can. He always talks over me, but I can.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think you both are in agreement. So let's go forward.
So that one was a nice just ignoring of the little pinprick that she's trying to do and going on. And what you could see is she immediately, once the wife made that, I'm forgetting their names already, made that remark about the husband, she turned to the husband just to check in with him. And so my own, the way that I generally do it is I'll have the parties facing me, so it's easier for me to see both of them. And a lot of people don't do that. They'll be doing the tennis referee thing, going back and forth, but I prefer to have people both facing me so that it makes it easier on me, although the camera would be difficult for the camera person to do that as well.
Speaking of the children, let's talk about the children. I believe you indicated their names are Austin and Schuyler.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Austin and Schuyler.
Yep. Schuyler.
Okay, how old are the children?
Austin, our son, is 14, and Sky is 12.
Okay, and you call her Sky?
Schuyler.
Austin and Sky. Either Sky or Schuyler?
Well,
Schuyler.
yeah.
Okay.
So they can't even agree on what to call their daughter. And so what the mediator does is to use both, which is very nice. So Sky or Schuyler. She doesn't miss a beat, just, again, validating both of them.
That's what she likes. All children have nicknames,
Oh, absolutely. So I assume the kids are in school. So what grade levels are they at?
Oh, he always forgets that our son is in high school.
No, I wasn't forgetting. I just thought you were going to just start talking again.
Our son is in high school, and
okay.
Our daughter's in middle school.
Okay. So yeah. Austin's in high school.
He's a freshman, yes.
Okay, and Schuyler is in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, since we're talking about it, they're 14 and 12 today. One of the ways that we sometimes begin the mediation process is we ask you to think about your kids 10 years from today. Austin's 14. Austin will be 24. Mm-hmm. Schuyler's 12. Schuyler will be 22.
Yes.
So if you could just think forward, how would you like Austin and Schuyler to be 10 years from now? In other words, what are some goals that you have for your children that you like to see them accomplish or accomplishing by that time?
So one of the things that a lot of mediators will do that I think is very helpful is to have the parties set some goals. Sometimes it's goals for the mediation. What do you want to accomplish today in the mediation? In this case, she's saying, what are your goals for your children? Which I think is a very nice twist on that approach to it. And very helpful, I think, in this particular situation because, the activities may actually connect to what the parents want them to do. And we'll see what happens with that.
What we do is we like to talk in terms of mutual goals. Maybe there's some goals that there probably are some goals that you both have in mind. Can we talk about some mutual goals for the kids that you'd like to see them acquire, say, by 10 years from now?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm sure we both can agree, we want our children to be successful, and that starts with, getting the best education that they can get, to be able to do what they really want to do. I would love to see them both be young entrepreneurs, in 10 years, doing whatever it is that they love and have a passion for.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned that you'd like for them to be well educated.
Definitely.
And also you'd like for them to be entrepreneurs. So let's find out, are we talking mutual goals or are these different goals?
Well, stars. I want our children to be, at least stage performing live. Okay. Definitely. So, and then just to possibly get a job, maybe, maybe an entrepreneur, maybe. So for both of them and
Okay. Good.
Them they're going to do this. Just, we come to an agreement on what our children, after we ask them what it is that they like.
Okay, so in other words, you like for your children, a goal for your children to have been that you would have had some communication with them in terms of the kinds of things they get into. And you also mentioned something about getting along with you or getting along with each other. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I mean, but since we're getting a divorce and, when they're with me, I hear things, I'm sure she talks down, about me when I'm not around, because she does it while I am around. So, all of the competition.
Talk down about you, really? I don't talk down.
Let's be sure that we follow. There's just some basic rules we like for us all to follow in mediation, and that is that we not interrupt each other. And it's good. It's great that you're talking to each other, but let's make certain that we talk one at a time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
He always likes to correct me, though. He's like an English teacher, and he's you're not talking correctly.
Well, you have to say so, and then we're going to try not to talk down to each other as well, and that goes for the mediator too. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you've talked about some mutual goals in terms of entrepreneurship. You talked about education. I believe you both have indicated. I believe that you like for the children to be able to get along and to get along with you as well. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit.
So this is the summarizing portion of what their goals are, and she does that so easily. It's like she just picks out the important things, boom, 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 and moves on.
Independent. So this is good, because these are things that you both want for the children.
Yeah, because they don't, they at this point, they don't know if they're blaming each other. Would one of them do something wrong, or it's like, they don't understand the reason,
for the divorce,
that we can't be together like that. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a hard time to try to keep everything going smooth during this process, but. Like I said, the communication about the education.
Okay,
that's really like, that's the bottom line for me. We need them to have activities, but to me, that's like secondary towards making sure everything is up to par at school. That's, to me, their number one responsibility is the school.
Okay, so we're hearing a lot of goals with respect to children's activities. So why don't we begin to talk about some of the specific activities that you're referring to, and perhaps we can come to some agreement or some resolution in terms.
So she's had enough of goals. They've started fighting about that. So what she does is just move it on to the next stage. Let's talk about the specifics. And she's very much in control of process, but very much reflective of where they are in terms of the content.
Hey, you know what? You know better than anybody what works best for you and your children. Mm-hmm. Better than this mediator, better than any judge. In most cases, I would say. So let's talk about where we are, and perhaps you all can reach some resolution. So let's begin by talking about Austin. Austin's the older child, and you have some ideas with respect to activities, and we're going to hear from you as well. Okay, Sabrina?
Austin is very talented artist. He takes after his father.
Congratulations.
But, I've done music in the past, so we've had some success back in the day doing that. So that's something that he gravitated towards. But no, not just now, because everyone's doing it now. Back when we were doing it, it was only a small group of us. But now he's not just all of his friends.
So you'd like to see Austin continue in the music business?
Yes, because he's good at
rap music.
Yes, this is rap music, and he's also a very good graphic artist too. So I like to see him cultivate that, and be able to make a career out of what you do naturally, what you love.
Okay. In addition to the music and the art,
he also he plays sports. He plays soccer as well.
Is it something you like to see him continue in?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, injured
as well.
Well, I mean, all children get injured during.
I'm sorry. Did you say he was injured?
He was injured.
Well, how's he doing now? Is he okay?
Yeah, the doctor gave him the clearance to keep playing. It wasn't that serious.
Okay, and we're going to get to you in just a second.
Riding on their bikes every day. They're going to stop riding bikes. No. Okay. We used to jump ramps, the garbage cans with our bikes and stuff like that. So, children they're going to be rough.
So you primarily, in terms of the activities you've mentioned, you like for him to continue with the
music and the art and even the soccer,
as well as the soccer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sabrina, what brings you here with respect to the children's activities?
Okay, well, again,
And let's focus on Austin.
Okay, so Austin is injured. He likes to say he's okay because he's a boy, he's macho.
No, the doctor said
no,
he was
see,
okay.
he's cutting me off.
But I'm just saying that's a fact.
Okay, well,
The doctor gave
time
me
out.
clearance.
And I'm the mediator. I'm going to call some timeouts, okay?
Good.
And
Thank you.
Clearly this can be emotional. It can be difficult, okay? And it appears that you're both working very hard to get this resolved today.
I am.
Okay? But let's agree to talk one at a time. And I understand, but let's try to keep our voices down, okay?
Thank you.
So in addition to calling the timeout, one of the things that she does is to slow things down. Her pace slows, her tone of voice gets lower. And so she isn't just interrupting what they're doing, she's changing the whole atmosphere so that when they start up again, they're starting up at a different angle. So let's see if that works.
Thank you. He would normally just storm out of here. So, but thank you.
Alrighty.
So Austin, he's injured, like I was saying. And then, you know, my main thing is his rapping is okay. Everybody thinks they can rap. Everybody tries a rap career. Yeah, my husband was very successful in rapping, but that's besides the point. His son can't rap. Our son cannot rap. You know, just because he can throw.
So it sounds like your preference would not be that he continue with the rap music activity.
Yes, I would prefer him to have engineering, as well as, you know, focus on some math. You know, that's what I think he should do.
Okay, so
and then go into a career in that direction, not rap and doing all that studio time and all that. That's just crazy to me. And then the art competitions. I majored in art and I struggle still to this day. I always have to ask him for money, and he throws that in my face all the time. You know, so I would prefer him not to do the art competition because he can't even really draw.
Okay,
you know?
So you're basically indicating that your preference would be that Austin switch over into engineering and math, as opposed to pursuing the music and the art. And it sounds like there may be a difference of opinion in terms of the skills level of Austin.
He's not talented. He's living through him. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Well, we're going to try not to point fingers and make accusations, but
I can write it down.
Why don't we do this?
Can I write it down?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if there's something that you think about and the other person is talking, please feel free to.
All right. That's your opinion. I don't see how you can't support your own son, even if he was bad. You know what I'm saying? You still got to give him some type of encouragement, but that's not the case.
And we'll spend some more time. We'll spend some more time talking about this. Why don't we do this? Okay.
Just because she went to school, got a degree in art, and then couldn't get a good job, so she don't want her children to pursue any type of artistic endeavors.
You still gonna cut everybody off?
Okay, hold on.
You can't.
Okay, I'm going to have to request your participation and your cooperation for us to move forward. Now, there's a time during mediation when I may speak with either one of you individually, or both of you one at a time, if you will. So we call that caucus. We may do that later on, okay? So there may be some other things you want to flush out with the mediator.
So yeah, these two are great actors, and it's very nice to give Earlene some time to try to, you know, separate them and stop the fights. And so she now brings up the idea of, I may physically separate you and talk to you separately. Seems like that might be a good idea if they can't stop pointing the fingers at each other and accusing each other.
But why don't we switch now and talk a little bit about the activities for Schuyler?
Okay. Yes. She's just a beautiful dancer. She floats on stage. She has really long legs.
Okay.
She's into the ballet. She's into cheerleading. She's just she has a beautiful smile.
So she's into a number of activities, and we're going to come back to that. And you like her to participate in those activities?
Yes.
The ballet and the cheerleading.
Yes, just to learn girl etiquette and just to be, you know, she's like my little mini me.
Sounds like a okay. Interesting. Now, Schuyler's activities?
Well, first of all, I don't approve of the dancing, the cheerleading. I thought it was something different from when I come up. Cheerleaders.
What would your preference be?
A little more respectable, more they like little grown women, you know, they dressing them up, these little skimpy outfits. See her lipstick? See, that's where she gets it from. She has on the same lipstick. She's only 12 years old. They're walking.
Okay, so you have certain expectations in terms of where you think.
I don't like, I don't like how far.
Are there activities that you rather see her participate in?
Well, there could be a lot of them. I mean, she does. She plays volleyball. She likes, you know, she likes that. But, you know, like I said, as far as the dancing, she can do regular dancing. I mean, there's all type of dancing, but I thought this was like a regular dance. You know, you go to YMCA, you know, whatever, do the whatever workout.
So it sounds like you're interested in the cheerleading and the dance, and you prefer something more like the
her
volleyball.
age appropriate.
Is there anything else?
Well, I mean, yes. Actually, the main thing with Schuyler is her grades are really below average.
Okay.
Her grades are below average. So any other extracurricular activity that she does, to me, is counterproductive for what she's supposed to be focusing on, and that is schoolwork. So
it sounds like you have a definite underlying interest in making certain that her education is up to par.
Yes.
And let me do this, because I think,
doing the dance and every day, all day, they're traveling, we're spending money, there's uniforms, they're going to this competition, this and that. And it's
so there are some concerns with respect to expenses as well.
It's expenses, it's time, and it's like I say,
let's do this.
I don't really like the culture of where it's going at her age.
Okay.
Being 12, you know, doing that same thing that
we can flesh out more of this, okay? But here's what we're going to do. Now that you at least have put your concerns on the table, we're going to come back and.
He doesn't like volleyball. He likes volleyball.
Okay, we're going to come back and we're going to begin to talk about how we can resolve some of these things, okay? And you have ample time to talk about some other concerns as well. Okay? Thank you very much. So again, we're talking about children's activities today. You're going through a divorce and you really want to spend some time focusing on the activities for your children. Now, as I recall, Alan, you indicated that you like for Austin to participate.
So I think the way that the community cable works is that they require a break, but that's not a bad idea for people who are fighting that way anyways, to just take a break. And so when she comes back, she actually is able to redirect it again.
And continue to participate in rap music and to participate in art, and which you've indicated he does very well, and also in sports. And you, Sabrina, have indicated that you would like for Alan to do something new and different, to get away from some of the activities of sports and rap music and arts. And then with respect to your younger daughter, Schuyler, Sabrina, you've indicated that you are very, very happy with what she's doing with her dancing and her cheerleading, and you'd like for her to continue. Whereas on the other hand, Alan, you've indicated that you would like for her to perhaps participate more in girls volleyball, participate in activities, but certainly girls volleyball. And you indicated that it may be cheaper and less time consuming, but more importantly, you are concerned that her grades are not up to par, and you'd like for her to have her grades improve. So with that, in mediation, we certainly have an opportunity because, as I said before, you know best what works for you. So let's begin to talk about and brainstorm some options. What might happen? How can we work these things together? What may work going forward? What are some kinds of things that you like to talk about to try to get some of these things resolved and to accomplish some of the goals that you're both trying to accomplish? Remember the goals for the children? Education, you want them well-rounded, you want them exposed, you want them secure, you want them to get along with each other, to get along with you. So how might we work some of this out?
So I just am in awe of what she just did. And Gail, you mentioned her neutrality. How did you see, do you want to say a little bit more in terms of what you saw her do in terms of that? And by the way, there's thunder right outside my window, so I hope the internet will stick.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are having internet issues as well. Well, no, just her just that part right before the break as well was so impressive. But just the mom just how her face just lights up every time she mentions the daughter, and not so much for the son, and how
And vice versa with the dad.
huh?
Vice versa with the dad.
Right.
So,
yeah. And how none of that came into any of her reflection or any, it just was a non-issue. I thought that was
except there was one time when Sabrina said mini me, that she's a mini me. Earlene did sort of sit back and say, interesting.
Yeah. That was great.
But luckily it wasn't. She didn't make a big deal of it, but that was one break in the neutrality. I thought that was funny. So what she did then to come back is to go way back and look at, okay, so your goals are the education and the activities. These are things that you care about with your children, and what you've mentioned are these things. And so she kind of brought it all together. And the tone that she's using is just so understated. She's not making a big deal of anything. She's totally open to whatever it is that they want to do. And I also want to just point out, as they're fighting, she has certain turns of phrase that I think are really helpful. One is, so your preference is. And another is, I understand. And then she's suggested that they write it down. Sounds like an option is. So there are just certain phrases that she uses that keep things moving but are very, very neutral. And I think I mentioned, so your preference is. And I can't remember whether she's already said it. There may be a difference of opinion. I think early on she used, there may be a difference of opinion, which I thought was masterful. So, okay, let's see where she's going to go then.
Well, I definitely want our daughter to still be able to travel and experience those different things so she can be a lady. Okay. So, definitely.
So, Kathy, you're asking about accusations of abuse. Are you talking about child abuse or spousal abuse? What are you thinking of?
In situations like that I've actually heard from family members, that the criticisms of the parenting are often framed in such a way that that it sounds like one is accusing the other of abuse, or actually is, or somehow causing harm to the child.
So one of the things that's really important with divorce mediation, and I think we're actually looking at doing it in other types of mediation as well, is the pre-mediation individual interviews, where we're actually doing a screening for spousal abuse, child abuse, anything else, because that's the point that you would want to deal with it, is pre-mediation, to decide, do you even want to mediate this case? Does it make sense to bring it into mediation? If you think that that there is a serious abuse issue, then I would caucus at that point and go back to doing screening, finding out what's going on, make a determination, do we want to continue this mediation or not? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what if it's kind of not quite to that level? Like the one parent is accusing the other one of harm, perhaps not framing it in a gentle way.
Well, then I think you really need to clarify, what are you saying? What is your concern? What are you talking about? What do you think needs to be done? So really focusing in on that at that point. And I'm happy to have other people chime in as well. Okay, so Phyllis, she slides in the rules of mediation when they might be helpful. Yes, so she's quite willing to repeat the rules. If you may have noticed, whenever it comes up, she'll just repeat it, and with infinite patience, and as if she's never brought it up before, which I love. And Jermaine, if you think something needs to be reported to the proper authorities, we don't expect volunteer mediators to do any reporting. No, so you would go back to the staff and the staff would do the reporting. And I think the staff, if you want to speak up, that where there has been a serious issue, volunteer mediators have stopped the mediation and gone to the staff and said, what do you want me to do at this point? Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, this is Jermaine here. I have not had that experience yet in the last few years, you know, so I'm a newbie to DR mediation, but I do know that we have some mediators here who may have experienced that. So I know I saw Nancy. I don't know if she's here still, but if some folks
She is, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to defer to some of the mediators who have gone through that.
Sorry, I was a little slow being able to unmute. Usually concerns about abuse will come out when we're doing the domestic violence screening. And then and I have to say that has not been the case throughout the pandemic and the virtual mediations, but with in-person, there has been a staff person easily available, and we have stopped mediation in a way that hopefully will not exacerbate the situation. And there have been times we've had to ask one of the parties to hang around, the one that we were concerned about, while the other party leaves, just to give them a chance to leave safely. However, as many mediations as I have done over the years, this has happened only a handful of times.
Because I think you're right, it gets caught at the screening stage, and that's really the purpose of the screening. So that's great. Thank you. So Betty is saying that Earlene doesn't restate or reiterate each side's negative verbalization. That's exactly right. So she's ignoring that, she's burying that, and she's really focusing on the positive and what they want to be done, what can be done. That the other side does. So we're going to see what, because they've nicely polarized, we'll see what she's going to do with that. Okay, back here to the video.
And
So you're suggesting that the cheerleading and the dance assist her in becoming a young woman?
Yes, it really does.
Okay.
It really does.
Well, I mean, the travel, just to do that, just to travel is really not a main, perk or benefit. Just, far as them being, I just don't like they have them dressed up like grown women, really, basically,
So
dancing and shaking all around and all of that. I think she's too young for that. I don't know no father who wants to see his daughter gyrating and shaking around out in the public like that.
So what would you like to see happen? Let's talk about some options.
He probably wants them to do sports, right?
I mean, sports is fine, art is fine. I mean, but the main thing is, like I say, she say, what do we want to see them in 10 years? I want to see them being independent. I want to see them being well educated. And if you're well educated, you can be independent. If you're an entrepreneur, you can do the things. You can travel. You have time. You'll have money to do different things. But right now, we have to get towards that goal. So being education is the key to all of that. They need to have a new schedule based around where both of them are not spending as much time with the other extracurricular activities until we can see more improvement in their schoolwork.
So it sounds like an option that you're talking about is maybe putting some parameters around the amount of time they spend.
Yes, ma'am, because she does the dance and
so again, that understated, so an option that you're looking at. The other thing that struck me is that as he's beginning to talk, that seed that she planted right at the beginning of what do you want for them in 10 years comes back in. So even though they've stopped talking about it, that really went deep for him, and it comes back out.
Every day, like that's all day, every day. Like
so you like to see that limited?
It has to be,
so
because
one option is to limit the amount of time.
Because I think that's taken away from her schoolwork studies.
Now, is that for the cheerleading and dance as well as the rap?
Same
and the
thing.
art?
Same thing with him. I don't want to make it seem like, even though his grades they're okay, they definitely could be better too. He's not getting straight A's. So but like I say, just to be able to focus on school,
Okay,
on learning business.
So
Like
one
I said, we
option
want them to
is
be
to, and I don't mean to
entrepreneurs.
cut you off, but you're saying one option is to focus on the educational part.
Yeah, like she said,
more
I
than
agree with her with the
work.
math, and engineering.
And I love that. I don't mean to cut you off because she does actually mean to cut him off.
100%, but I think we need to set some parameters, some guidelines, and some boundaries, some because it's kind of freestyle now. They do what they want over when they're with her,
Okay.
and I have a certain type of strict schedule when they're with me.
So you're talking about parameters and guidelines as being an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that as well, but you know, at the same time, let them choose what it is that they want to do, because he's always, everything is on schedule. You know, 9 to 9:10, 10 to 10:20. You know, teaching. He thinks he's teaching us at our home. He's
Okay,
bringing
so
that into our home.
you're basically suggesting the option that
We ask
and
them.
help me out that say that again.
We ask them what is it
so
that they
you
want.
check in with the children,
Yes.
and that would be with Austin and Schuyler to
Yes.
find out which activities they want to
Yes.
participate
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't want to be like Joe Jackson trying to force them to do certain things that I like or anything like that. I never have, though. But, she says different, but, you ask the children, they'll tell you what they like. But like I say, things change. They may have a new interest, peer pressure, all different things change,
So Naomi, you're saying that you're surprised she hasn't asked what their kids are doing. I sort of got the impression that the parents were talking about things that the kids were actually doing. Maybe not. Maybe not. And of course, this is so hard with a role play because the actors are making it up as they go. And excuse me. They're making up what grades they're in and all that stuff. So I think that's part of it.
So what if there were some things that they were interested in that were outside of what they're currently involved in? Is that something that you all would be receptive to, or is it something you want to take another look at?
I mean, as long as it's positive, I'm open to
That's fine
any
with
positive
me.
activity. I'm always open to that. He may surprise. They might surprise us. So yeah, I'm not.
But I know Schuyler loves dance, but that's fine with me.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you all are both in some agreement with respect to setting parameters. Did you have any idea in terms of the kinds of parameters you would be
So that's great. She finds one thing they're in agreement with and boom, goes with it.
interested in setting?
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Well, yes, I'm ex-military, so everything used to go down with a schedule. I got away from it a little bit.
So you're a
and I
proponent
saw-
of setting up schedules?
Yeah, because it's better, because I've learned how it works with it, and I know how the results without it, and so I think we need to get back to some type of, strict regimen.
So let's talk about what
On a
may
daily
work, and then you
basis.
can both provide your input in terms of whether you think it may work or not.
Well, I'm thinking 2 hours of dance and then like maybe 30 minutes in rap studio.
30 minutes is not enough time to even set up a studio. See, that's for one. That doesn't.
What amount of time would you suggest for the music? And
First,
this is the music.
I'm thinking first. Let's just set up some parameters for the studying / tutoring. Austin needs studying. Schuyler needs tutoring. So
I'll tutor her. I'll tutor
You have
her.
a master's teacher's degree?
No, not like you. Okay, he can tutor her. Whatever.
No, I'm
Okay,
not
so,
gonna-
well, I mean, if you like, we can decide how we like for the tutoring to take place here in mediation. But it sounds like you're both in agreement that some tutoring might take place. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So again, just a master at, they're in the middle of the fight and she picks out, they've got an agreement.
Yes.
Okay. And how might that work?
So I would say, we were saying, discussing the hours.
Okay.
So, right, they already go to school every day. So you don't want to be coming home being overwhelmed, but at least an hour.
An hour?
What?
You're suggesting 1 hour for what?
Study / tutor.
1 hour for study / tutor.
Study
Okay.
/ tutor.
Taking a few notes here to keep it straight. And
That's a long time. I think my daughter, she gets bored very easily. It's almost like attention deficit disorder, but it's not. So I think 30 minutes for her and then maybe an hour for Austin.
How is she going to, you got to have some type of pressure. I mean, 30 minutes, what are you going to do in 30 minutes to be able to bring her grades up
I don't
from
know,
where they are
Professor,
now?
what are you gonna do?
Her grades are not, even average. They're just below average.
So it sounds like one of you is saying 1 hour, one of you is saying
30 minutes.
There needs to be at least
30
an
minutes.
hour of study, and you're going to spend more time dancing than you are studying.
Well, let's talk about the music and the dance. What amount of time are you proposing for those?
At least 2 hours for dance.
2 hours is fine.
So it sounds like in terms of those extracurricular activities, you're both
But
in
then
sync
these
with
and then
respect to
these
2
wouldn't have to.
hours.
They can't be like every day, consecutive days like that. You know, during the week, maybe on the weekend, but like it has to be alternated, like maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
For 2 hours.
Yeah.
And
She's not gonna do well like that. Like,
I'm talking about doing well in school, not on the dance floor.
okay, let's just to come to some resolution here. Where are we with respect to the dance and the music?
I would say 2 hours, 3 times a week.
2 hours, three times a week.
A school week. I mean,
Okay.
during the
And because
school
it sounds
week,
like
Monday,
there's some
Wednesday,
other-
and Friday.
there's
Not on
some
Friday
other-
and Saturday. You can have free time
On
to
Saturday
do
and
certain
Sunday.
okay,
things.
fine. An hour
Okay.
a day. An hour a day then, if that's the case.
Studying, yeah.
Fine, an hour a day for both then.
Okay, 1 hour per day?
Yeah.
And,
That's it,
and
only an hour
But
studio time.
this is a minimum, correct? Because you can both exceed that. Is that correct?
I will at times, you know.
Okay.
So, I mean, he can't be in the studio for 3 hours. So, are we saying an hour for studio time then?
This not necessarily going to be just studio time all the time. It may be him working on his art for a competition, for an art, showcase, whatever it may be. But I'm saying an hour. I mean, this has to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then on the
Are we in agreement on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
because every day, like it has not been really been doing anything productive for us, you know, where they need to be in school.
Well, that's why I was saying.
Well, let's think about our goals now. We're talking
Yeah,
about
that's what
education. We're talking about
'Cause
exposure.
it's
We're
just
talking
the
about
study, the study and I say the study and the tutoring should be every day, and the extracurricular activities should be every other day.
Okay.
Just like when you go to
And your
school, they don't have
I just want it to
gym
be
and
every
music
day.
every
If we
day.
could just
You
have
go
a
to
balance.
school, you have certain classes on certain days. You don't go there and go to when you gym every day. All the
Well, I can
time.
tell that you're
Music
both
all
really
every
emotional in
day,
this,
all the
and
time.
is there some type of flexibility during the week? 1 week maybe one way, another week another way, or first half of the month, second half of the month?
We can see how it works. I want to try whichever way we can agree on. I want to try into the next grade period and to see is there any type of progress.
Okay, I can do
On a
that.
progress
I can do
report.
that.
Okay, and
I
so
can do
what's
that.
the regularity for the music and the dancing?
The same. Everything needs to be the same, and I'll do that every other day, like he said.
Okay.
1 hour study, that's every day. Every other day, whatever your chosen extracurricular, 2 hours.
Okay.
And then on the weekend, you have free time.
And then what? 3 months if you don't have a record deal, then we can do that.
No.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's do this. It sounds like you've agreed that every other day they will have an hour of either, whether it's music or the dance. Okay?
No,
Every
2
other
hours.
day. Is it 2 hours?
It's 2 hours. It's an
So
hour
if
of
you wanna-
study and tutoring every day.
Yes.
Hour.
Okay. Okay, and I was
And
just
then
going to
2 hours.
separate the. Okay, that's fine. So
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
okay, Monday, Wednesday, and
For her
Friday
to
it's
do
2 hours,
their dance.
and every other day
cheerleading.
it's 1 hour for studying
Yeah.
and tutoring every day. Is that clear?
That's fine.
I didn't hear the
Okay.
last part you said.
So it's 1 hour every day for
Yes.
studying and tutoring.
Yes, ma'am.
Every other day, it's an additional hour for whether it's music or the dancing and cheerleading.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah. So, yes.
Okay. So does that work for you? And you're also going to be checking with the students, with your children, rather, to see what it is that they may be,
Other interests
what other
besides
interests, yeah,
what they're
they may
already
have.
Can we bring them into
You'll be
you so we
doing-
can sit down with you? Because I don't get opportunities like this to talk at all.
Well, one of the things we're going to be doing during this divorce process is talking about ways that the two of you can continue to communicate. That's a good question. I'm certainly not going to rule it out. So why don't we just revisit that at a later time?
Okay.
The
Yeah.
good news is that it sounds like you've reached some type of resolution with respect to your children's activities. If there are further questions, we can certainly discuss it at another time. So typically, how's this process working for you? Because we can discuss other divorce issues going forward?
Well, I mean, it's good just to have somebody to
Thank you.
be here
That's-
because it's like
So-
I say, you can't. There's no talking.
Thank you.
No,
Well, you've certainly done a lot of talking to each other today, and that is really one of the benefits of mediation. So
I think that was everything that they were going to come to an agreement on. So Muffy, you're saying it's important to let the parties know that this agreement can change. Yeah, the fact that they started with a temporary agreement, I thought was really good. Anything else you want to add to that, Muffy?
No, I'm sorry. I missed some of the language because the the recording kept freezing, so I didn't hear the temporary part.
No. Oh, did it freeze for everybody? No. Oh, okay. So yeah, so the husband suggested trying it until the next grading period, and the wife seemed interested in that, so they picked up on that, and it's always a good idea around kids anyway. So absolutely. And then Margaret, you're saying, oh, that you like this resource. Great. So any conversation about what she did or its usefulness or not as a resource? Any other comments? I did, if I have a little bit of time, I did want to just show the other thing I mentioned at the beginning, that Earlene has a number of these videos on the community cable Bloomfield Township program. A lot of them are general mediation and business mediation. She just has a wide variety of them. But she and I together did 3 of them for Zoom mediations on similar topics. And I wanted to show at least the beginning of the one that's on children's activities. So it's a mirror of the one that she did in person. And then we can talk about it for a second. Let me share my screen here. So what is going on here? Oh, okay, good.
Zena, are these real people or actors?
They're all actors.
So Cherie and Travis, you both actually have made some progress, and I know that you were both very, very interested in talking about the children's activities. So we're going to spend some time today talking about the children's activities. I may have some questions as you go, or you may have questions for each other, but let's go ahead and get started. You know, what would you like to see happen with respect to children's activities? And Travis, why don't you go first this time?
The biggest thing with me is just setting up the rules. I just want to be able to make sure that we're completely aligned and we send the same message to our children. I don't want it to be mother versus father. They ask me, and then if they get the wrong answer, then they go and ask her. That's my biggest thing.
And just to be clear, Travis, are you suggesting that when the children are perhaps in your household as opposed to in Cherie's household, you're saying that you would like for the 2 of you to basically use the same expectations or rules for the children?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Cherie, what would you care to say in this situation regarding children's activities?
Well, as far as the rules go, I agree with you, Travis, with that. I just think that we should be aligned across the board. They should not be able to get away with things in one place versus another. However, there are some things that you and I need to agree on. And one of those things are that I think that it's okay for these children to have an overnight stay with their friends.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well,
No.
Travis, let's hear Cherie out.
and you'll certainly have an opportunity to respond as well. And by the way, Sheree, when you're talking overnights, would you explain help me understand what you mean?
Absolutely. So just as I mentioned in our last session about wanting to keep the home because they have friends and neighbors, these are our friends, and I'm okay with the kids going to spend the night with their friends, and Travis is absolutely against it. That's something Star would love to do. She would love to go and stay with her friends and, have a tea party or a slumber party. And Travis is totally against that, which I think is not fair to the children.
And again, Star's 12 and Travis is 15. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, yes, 12 and 15, they should definitely be able to spend a night. They can talk. They can tell us if something's wrong, if something happens. And, just like I don't think it's okay for Travis, aka Troy, to take driver's ed. I just don't think he's ready. He's not ready mentally, physically to drive just yet, or start that driver's education.
I thought we lost you in the storm. Not yet. So one of the things that fascinates me about the difference between these two is that I know from the rehearsals that we did with these two people that they were just as ready to fight as the original two actors. But there's something about the Zoom process where you can't overtalk each other because it just becomes a jumble. And so they end up talking much more one at a time. Not any friendlier. The tone didn't change much, but it seems to slow down the whole process. And I don't know whether any of you feel that way in terms of your own experience with Zoom mediations versus the in-person mediations, but I'd love to talk about that. So Diane, you're saying no.
No, to me it feels like folks feel like they're hidden, sort of. They have a barricade up there so they can return over and over again to the same issues, and they try to understanding that Zoom doesn't let you talk over. They just keep super talking. And
interesting.
It's a little harder to pull things back in, but you can. But seems to me they also go around it, stay stuck more.
Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Well, let me play a little bit more of this, see where they get to. All right, there we go. I don't know why it turned dark all of a sudden when I stopped it, but that's what it's doing.
So I just have a clarifying question. When you say that you're not interested in him taking driver's ed, do you not want him to take the class, or do you not want him to drive?
Right now, I think he needs a year before he starts taking the class to learn how to drive and get himself comfortable with that.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Yes. So I want Star to participate in ballet. I want her to be a cheerleader. And I also think that she should swim. Absolutely, she should swim. Living in Florida, she needs to know how to swim. And with Troy should play football, be in the band, and wrestle. Learn how to defend himself, wrestle. I think those are some sports. 3 sports out of the week, activities out of the week should be just fine for him.
Oops. Ah. I don't know what I just did there.
I think that it's okay for these children to have an overnight stay. That's something Star would love to do. She would try to take driver's ed. I just
not want him to take the class, or do you not want him to drive?
Be a cheerleader. And I also think that she should swim. Absolutely just fine for him, And another thing is
So Diane, I'm agreeing with you. So she just doesn't stop talking. and poor Travis doesn't have a way in. So I think you could be right on this one.
Think that Troy should, I don't think he should work right now. I just think he's just too young to work. He needs to focus on his education and his extracurricular activities right now. He's going to have more than enough time in his life to work. I think he should stay focused.
Okay, so in other words, I think I hear you saying that you don't think it would be in Troy's best interest for him to have a job in addition to the other things that you think he should be involved in.
Agree.
Is that basically what you're saying?
I totally, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And, you know, it's just an argument with Travis about these things because he don't
Troy,
see eye to eye.
I'm sorry. Trey, what's your take on children activities? I know that you emphasize your concern about rules in both households and some consistency. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yes. So it is an absolute no for the children spending a night out. It's a no for me. It is too much going on in the world. We don't know what could potentially happen. If they really want to spend the night and they want to have their friends over, then they can spend the night over one of our houses. But to send our children out there to just spend the night with people that I don't know and I don't trust is an absolute no for me.
You're not there.
It is no for me. It's too much going on. Too many horror stories, too many bad things that's going on out there. I don't even have to dive into them because you guys know, and you guys have seen it happen. And I refuse to let my children be the product of one of those things.
So just to interject, I hear you saying, Travis, that you prefer that the children not spend nights away from home, but it would be okay for them to have visitors over to spend nights with you.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That would be fine with me.
Okay.
Yes. In regards to their extracurricular activities, I think that they should be limited to one. I don't think that the kids can actually focus on all of these specific things, and I believe that they should get a tutor. Spend their time with one extracurricular activity and making sure that their education does not suffer from being into all of these other different things.
Does that sound
all of
familiar?
These different activities are expensive. She's not going to be the one paying for them. She is working a part-time job, so that's putting more of a burden on me. And also, if we can focus on having one set schedule, then that would allow me to prioritize when I am back in the city, where I can spend time with celebrating the victories with my children, so I can be there for those extracurricular activities. But trying to be there for all three of those extracurricular activities when my job requires me to be away it's hard for me. And I know it's hard for them. I do believe Troy should learn how to drive. He's expressed to me that one of the things that he would like to do when he gets older is to be a truck driver. And I don't think that it is anything wrong with him learning how to drive at an early age. He's 15 years old. If we get him in, he will have a permit, and he will have, in order for him to drive, he would have to have an adult in the car with him. And I'm okay with that. I also believe that he should start working part-time. His mother has expensive taste, and he's already taken after his mother. She likes to spend money. She likes to have the finer things in life, and so does he. But to give him some type of understanding of what real money is and how to actually make money, I think that we should start instilling that in him now.
What, sure, if I may, and I'm, again, sorry for interrupting, but what in particular did you have in mind, if anything, with respect to I think you said a part-time job?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did you have anything in particular in mind that you thought would be appropriate?
Even if he gets a part-time job bagging groceries, when I was younger, I mowed grass, I shoveled snow on the weekends. any of those different things just to get him. I would love for him to be an entrepreneur and to start doing his own. But if it's just bagging groceries at the local grocery store, if it's getting his first job at a fast food restaurant, whatever the case may be, a Foot Locker, any type of service, customer service, I think that it would help him out.
So it sounds like, Cherie, you'd like for the children to be engaged in several activities. And on the other hand, it sounds, Travis, like you'd like for them to focus maybe on one activity. And I hear you talking about maybe some additional focus on education for the children.
So again, just a masterful job of taking this enormous amount of information from each of them and distilling it into what is the difference between them and what their focus is. And Cherie had this tendency, if you watch the other videos, she's really good at, she'll start at something and she doesn't get interrupted. She'll build on it, build on it, build on it, and add to it and add to it. And so when Earlene comes back and just says, you'd like her to be in a lot of activities, it really cuts through the dominance that she would have had her Earlene actually listed the number of things that she was saying. And so let's see where she goes now.
Yes.
Okay. Likewise, it sounds like you prefer that Troy not work right away, Cherie. And of course, Travis, I heard you say that you think it would be to his benefit to get a job right away. And the same is true for driving. And Cherie, you like for the driver education to be held off, I think you said, for a year, and you're ready for me to get started in that right now. Correct, Travis?
Yes.
So she's picking issues, but she's also going from one to the other, one to the other. And again, she's making sure that they have some equality of time.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of these perspectives you have. What causes you? What are your interests? What are your feelings with respect to these?
Well, I think he's trying to make them adults way too fast. Both of the kids are highly intelligent. They do very well in school, and they just need to get their motor skills and their social skills at the same level as their intelligence. I just think right now they need to stay kids as long as they can stay kids. Driving and work, yes, by far I want to instill those qualities in our children. However, I just do not think it should happen right now. So we could agree that it can happen down the line.
So it sounds like you have similar goals for the children. However, your timing may be a little bit different. And perhaps these are some things we could talk about in terms of timing. What's your take, Travis?
I believe that it is not too early. I started driving at the same age. This is the legal age that people are able to start taking driver's ed. So I don't see what the big holdup is. You're holding them back like they're still toddlers. Troy is a young man, and he's going to want some of those things, like to be able to make his own money, even if it is part-time, to be able to participate and start developing the understanding of how to make money, what's the value of money. That needs to be in him now. He can't be spoiled forever. He cannot be. I refuse to put him in a world where he all of a sudden, once he goes off to college, that he doesn't know, and he's always calling us for money.
Or is it that you just don't want to pay? Which one is it? Which one is
It's
it?
It's not the fact that I don't want to pay. He needs to learn this. What are you afraid of? What fear is it that you have of him working?
About the overnights. What are the advantages or disadvantages to the overnights?
It's no advantage at all. None.
When I was a little girl, I spent the night at my friend's house. I was there. We had slumber parties. We ate popcorn. We watched movies all night. And that was a part of my childhood. That was a part of growing up. Those experiences made me who I am today. And I feel definitely Star needs those experiences.
Yeah, she can get those experiences. She can have all of those. The environment just needs to be controlled. So she can have those experiences with popcorn and late night and watching movies in one of our homes.
And I'd like you to think about what that control, both of you, what that controlled environment might look like. So you've raised a lot of interesting information. I think you both clearly shared your perspectives, but I'm going to ask you to do this. At the beginning of the mediation, if you recall, you sat down and you put together parenting principles and goals for children. And I have notes here that basically say that in the goals for your children, you want your children to be well exposed, independent, responsible, and safe. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask that you take these concerns you raised regarding the overnights and driving and getting a job and activities for the children, and think about how are these things consistent or inconsistent with the parenting principles. Okay?
Sure.
How are your ideas consistent or inconsistent with the parenting principles and the goals for your children? So we're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back in about 10 minutes, and perhaps we could spend some more time and take some time to think about what the other party is saying. Obviously, you both have interests here. You're both concerned here. So how might you work together and negotiate, if you will, to make sure that we meet the needs of both sides?
So it actually ends there, but her interventions, her interventions on the Zoom, I think, are many fewer interventions, but the same approach, and the summarizing and the redirecting, and how much she ignores, what it is that she lifts up, what it is that she puts down. And in the end, even though they want to fight a lot, she ends up getting exactly what are the disagreements, what are the agreements, and okay, now what are you going to do with it? How are you going to compromise? So I think that's all I had to say on the videos. Any other comments? And I'd also be interested in whether you thought this was a worthwhile approach to the lunch and learn.
I think Michael has a comment or a question.
Yeah, I think this is great. I'm also a big fan of Zoom, but let me get back to the actual most recent mediation going on. What I found so interesting was that I'm sitting as an observer, and there's this whole question of trust going on, and this sort of almost a contradiction in that he is concerned about his kids sleeping over at someone else's house because he's afraid for them. He doesn't know, he doesn't trust. She is concerned about her son driving because he's too young. But what I found so interesting in the technique is that rather than actually going to that directly one way or another, that we're talking about trust, blah, 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 the mediator starts getting to the specifics that are starting to bring that up. And in fact, at one point, one of them asks, what are you afraid of, or something? I mean, they start bringing it up to themselves. So even though it's underneath, it's starting to come up that way, and which really is a very different way than other mediators might do it, in terms of reflecting back and trying to go. but they're both so anyway, I found that just fascinating and interesting. A comment on Zoom: I really like Zoom, especially for divorce cases. On one hand, just in terms of time management, you can do the organize
The screening, the
the
pre-screening.
screening at the convenience. And I think the individuals feel more comfortable in their own environment. And as I say, I'm a big fan for that. So those are just my comments.
That's great. Well, I agree that different mediators definitely would approach these issues totally differently. And I think it's one of the fun things about looking at different mediators and how they deal with issues as they come up. That the issue of trust in a divorce is one that I would say I probably would not approach directly, because in most divorces, that's one of the issues, is they've stopped trusting each other. And that's not something that in a mediation they're going to be able to resolve. But I certainly can see, as she was starting to look at, what are your specific concerns? That is definitely a place to go. We were trying in that particular video to keep it to about 15 minutes, but the issues are just too big. You can't contain them in that short amount of time.
Zena, how do you take a different approach, and would you have taken a different approach given the circumstances of that video?
So given the amount of time, excuse me, I don't know that there was more to do than just, I'm so sorry about my allergies here, except to really try to figure out what are the issues and then begin to go into them one at a time. The fascinating question of at the level of independence of children of those ages, and at what point do the parents agree that they can begin to become more independent? Those are really great issues to discuss. So I think if we had more time, I would definitely start going in that direction of, well, at what ages do you think this is appropriate? At what age do you think that is appropriate? Do you know the other parents? How going into all the ifs, ands, and buts around each of those issues. Yeah. So Kathy, how about you? How would you approach it?
This is an area where I need to grow. So I think that I would go issue by issue, and I think this is the way she did it is better. That I would probably jump in too fast.
Just jump in to do what?
Jump into the issues rather than kind of take a step back.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yes, she does show really good restraint and patience to sort of get the complete lay of the land before she goes in. And I agree that is absolutely a strength. Yeah. So, Gail, any final comments or anything?
Well, Zena, thank you so much. We so appreciate your being here today. I thought it was really informative. I think the opportunity, I can't believe those folks are actors. Give them
They were good.
Academy Awards. They're just fabulous. Because I saw that one video, the second one, and I didn't realize they were actors the first time I saw it with you. But anyway, thank you so much. This is our last Lunch and Learn for the school year. Thank you to those of you that have volunteered to help me develop the curriculum for next year. And if you still want to join us, just let me know that. I'll be scheduling one meeting sometime in June when we can brainstorm, set the curriculum, and get it all set up for next year. So thank you all for your support of Lunch and Learn this year and your participation. And I just want to say I hope everyone stays healthy and has a safe and wonderful summer. So
thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here and to see old friends again. So thank you.
And make new ones. So nice to
And
meet
make new
you.
ones.
Yes. Okay.